girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I like the girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done. I like the girls with their nails done. With their nails done now.
All right, welcome back. We are back. Morning, guys. How we doing? Margin. Psyched to trade Paul Dino. Chef, what's up, Chef? Big day for Tesla. Yeah, big earnings today for Tesla, Chef. Barefoot Sailing Adventures. a usual or a reoccurring member now. Mark the Shark, Carlos, Ponzi, Robert, Bruce. What's up, Bruce? Morning, guys. Hamster. Flight was fine. The way there was terrible, but the way back was good. Way there got delayed like 4 hours. So I was sitting in the airport from 1 o'clock to 6 o'clock. That was not fun. I don't know about you guys. I'm one of those guys that, I'm one of those people that like to get to the airport with no time left. Like maybe give myself minimum or maximum an hour before boarding. At max. I like to push it a little bit. I know some people like to get to the airport hours and hours and hours in advance, but that's not me. What about you guys? Do we have more get there early and relax, or do we have more just get there when the boarding starts so I don't have to sit in the airport for a few hours? I don't know. CrowdStrike to 0? Yeah, CrowdStrike on Friday, man. Or I mean yesterday, sorry. CrowdStrike yesterday under 290 was just a gift. Man. I didn't chase it. We were on the voice chat yesterday with the group, and we were talking about CrowdStrike under 290, but I didn't want to chase it. I didn't know, I didn't know what to expect out of that thing, especially being on the road. I didn't want to push it. So, yeah, I didn't catch any of that CrowdStrike downside, but if you did, congratulations. Get there early and relax. 1 hour before, 2 hours before. Depends on the airport. Yeah, I agree with that, G. Denver can be a real problem. Yeah, I would agree. If I'm going to like JFK or Denver or big airport, I'll be a little bit more cautious. 3 hours. Oh, hell no. Hell no, 3 hours. If I'm going to RSW, then I'll push it. Especially if you have TSA pre. If you got TSA pre, you really don't have too much to worry about. All right. Welcome back, guys. Just enough time to smoke a small cigar. Where are you smoking a cigar at the airport, Matt? I guess outside in the departures. All right, guys. Well, let's get started. Welcome back to the live stream. Thanks for coming back. I know a few days break there, Friday and Monday, no live stream. Hope you guys did well on those days. Hopefully you prepared well. I'm here to help you today and the rest of this week. So let's do it. Yesterday we saw that NASDAQ demand low just really hold strong. ES and NQ demand lows held very nicely. That 19,750 held nicely. That 55.75, I believe it was, on the ES. So we pretty much just chopped all day yesterday, 55.70. We held above that demand. We rejected a short-term supply and didn't really do too much yesterday, just sort of back and forth within the range that we saw both Thursday and Friday. But today we are at a very, very key level here. Both the 56.15 on ES and the 20,000 level on NASDAQ. If we can break above these levels today, I think we can see upside continuation. I think we can. But we need to get those breaks, right? We need to get the key breaks on the futures, on the SPY, on the QQQ, before we can really trust this upside continuation. Now, yesterday did look sort of strong, in my opinion. I definitely felt like there was some strength out there. Definitely felt like there was some resiliency to the upside. We saw sort of that just melt higher, grind higher, really no willingness to give back much of the move, sort of in that afternoon move. So felt like there was some strength today, or yesterday. There was some strong equities. Nvidia had a nice bounce back. Tesla had a nice bounce back. So interesting spot here. We have Tesla and Google earnings after hours today, which is very important, I think, for the tech market to sort of kick it off. How does Tesla respond? How does Google respond? That's going to be very important. Do we see a lack of sort of movement today because of the anticipation for that? I think that is possible as well. So some key levels today. We're going to talk about them. Definitely a breakout or rejection spot that we are sitting in right now. I mean, literally at the exact moment on the ES, we are sitting at the either breakout point or the rejection point right now as we speak. So this is going to be big. We'll talk about it. 56.15 on ES. But before we get into the levels, let's make sure we review our calendars. Number one is our economic calendar. Don't really see too much out there today. Existing home sales, I don't think that's too important today. We can keep an eye on it, but, I mean, home sales are just going to continue to be down, in my opinion. Existing home sales, 10 o'clock. Manufacturing index, 10 o'clock. Two things on the docket. I don't think they're too major. You could watch them, but I don't think it'll affect the market too much. Tomorrow gets a little bit heavier. Manufacturing PMI at 9:45, so 15 minutes after open. We'll be aware of that. And I think the biggest day of the week is really right here. GDP and unemployment claims, I think, is probably your biggest event of the week. So not too much on the economic side, more on the earnings side. But we do have the manufacturing PMI tomorrow. We got GDP and unemployment claims Thursday. And then Friday, we have the PCE price index. All right? Consumer sentiment, personal income, personal spending. So that's that. Not too much on that side. Let's go ahead and pull up the earnings calendar, because this is really where the juice is starting to show. Where the juice can come from, I think, is the earnings calendar here. Let me go ahead and I don't want it that zoomed in. Jeez. Let's go ahead and take a look at these earnings here, guys. So this morning, we had Spotify, which did very well. We had UPS, which did bad. So Spotify is up this morning, and UPS is down this morning. UPS is actually at a huge level. I think it was $134 per share. I'll go ahead and show you guys that. If it breaks under this level, this could be flush territory for UPS. So I'm going to show you that UPS move. That is very interesting. Today, after hours, we got Tesla and we got Google. So some big ones. Some big ones there. Tesla, obviously, a big name. We know that. That's no surprise. Google, also a big name. That's no surprise. So this will be important for the market today after hours. So be careful on your swing trades. Enphase, big for the solar names. Visa, Texas Instruments. Possibly a little bit of reactions on semiconductors from that Texas Instruments report. So make sure you understand that. You could see a little bit of semiconductor action on on Texas Instruments. I don't even know what the ticker is for Texas Instruments. What's the ticker for Texas Instruments? TXN? I don't really watch this stock at all. Yeah, it's been up pretty nicely. So TXN, Texas Instruments, your favorite calculator. from middle school, from high school. That's really all I remember. Texas Instruments is my calculator from high school and middle school. Tomorrow, Chipotle after hours, Ford after hours, IBM after hours, Las Vegas Sands, American Airlines, Royal Caribbean, AbbVie, Honeywell, RTX, Southwest. That's really about it. 3M. And that's really about it for this week. All right? All right. Let's go quickly into UPS. I just want to show you guys this level that I'm talking about on UPS. If we go all the way out, you can see right here on Texas Instruments, under 134, which is right there, under 134, there's a gap down to 124. So there's about a $10 gap here from 134 to 124. You guys can see from the last earnings, not last earnings, but this earnings back here. This is back in 2020. So right here, this is back in August of 2020. We had a gap up on UPS from 124 to 134, and since then it sort of just stayed higher. But now this 134 level is in focus, right? Look at this. So we're right there. So I'm thinking if we see weakness today on UPS under this 134 level, I'm assuming we're going to move down through this gap, which is right here. This is your gap, 134 to 124. So I think it's possible that this continues towards that gap. So I would be watching UPS today. I actually am sort of interested. Not really a stock that I trade, and I don't know how the options move because I've never traded UPS options, but that is technically an interesting spot. So just be aware of that. I think that is something to pay attention to. Once again, daily chart on UPS. You have a gap here between 134 at these lows and 124. And I think it could navigate through there on this earnings weakness. So keep an eye on that today. Something to monitor if you're interested. All right. All right. NASDAQ. Let's get into it. So what is the level today? It's so clear, guys. And it was clear yesterday. And we saw the rejections there yesterday. And we saw the markets just couldn't get over it, right? We just couldn't get over this zone yesterday on the NASDAQ. And it is right in front of our face. It's right here. It's between 20,000 and 20,030. You guys can see we had the previous lows here from Thursday of last week. We had those lows from Wednesday of last week. And we couldn't get above it on Friday last week. And we definitely failed to get above it yesterday, pretty much all day. We had an early morning fade, which was a really nice catch from the group and I. We caught some downside there. Really nice. We had that early morning pop and sort of double top fade right into that 20,030, 20,000 supply zone. We pretty much just fought back all afternoon, right back into that zone. And once again, we saw a failure to break out. So again today, you can see we're right there. We are right there. Once again, this is going to be, I think, the most important level of the day. Right? That is a very clear spot. So we have those previous lows right here, previous lows that are now turning into rejections. Potentially, this would continue the lower high, lower low movement. Right? If we continue to see this happen, that's what's been happening. Right? We continue to see these lower lows form and lower highs form. This would continue that, right? This would continue that on the market if we cannot get above it today. So what has to happen for me to even consider upside today? We need a very clear break and hold above 20,030. We need to see yesterday's highs turn into new lows. If that happens, I think you absolutely see a push into this 20,160. All right, I think this would be your move today. If you can get a hold over yesterday's highs, if you can turn that yesterday high at 20,030 into a support today, then I think you will get your move towards these highs right here at 20,160, 20,180. That is if, and I'll say if again, that is if we get a hold above 20,030, because right now that is not happening, right? We are still seeing the weakness step in at this supply zone. So we could, right? The other option here is that we just reject this high again and we stay within this zone, right, until earnings is released, right? We could just see another day within this zone before earnings are released, right? And then Tesla and Google maybe give us that decision of what the market wants to do next, right? Maybe we just stay within this zone. Very possible. That's what we did yesterday. stay range bound, wait for earnings to release, and then maybe Google or Tesla helps us higher or helps us lower. All right, that is a very possible outcome of the day. I would be very aware of that, and I would be very careful trading too aggressively if we are in between this zone, right? Because we know the great trade, obviously the continuation trade, the juicy trade, is going to be on a break and hold above yesterday's highs. That's really the juicy trade. If we can get that break and hold above yesterday's highs, hold above that rejection point, then I think you have your upside continuation, and you can absolutely find some nice trades along the upside move. Until then, this is also, and if you want to look for that rejection play today, guys, I would not be opposed to that either. Right? If you want to look for that fade, I would not be opposed to that either. There was some nice fades yesterday. There's been some nice fades near this level, near this zone. And so is there another possibility of a fade today? Yes, absolutely. So both sides, very interesting here. This 20,000, 20,030 level is extremely clear. Extremely clear. You had a little bit of a hold here in the pre-market yesterday around this 875, but I'm not going to start making levels between this zone because I'm not going to get all chopped up in this zone, right? I'm either trading here or I'm trading here. It's one of the two, right? I'm either trading the lows, trading the channel highs. If it's right in the center, then I'm not trading it. I'm not getting too aggressive. If we can get a break and hold above today, that would be our long, or we look for that early morning fade off the 20,000, right? So that's that. Very clear on the NASDAQ futures. The other thing I want to point out real quick, guys, just real quick, is that we are still below, and in my opinion, which is very important, we are still very clearly below the daily 20 SMA. We're not even close to getting back above it on the NASDAQ futures. So in my eyes, at this point, every push higher, if you're going to trade longs, needs to be looked at as a scalp long, okay? If you can get that hold above yesterday's highs, if you can get that hold above it today, that's still, to me, nothing but a scalp long, right? That's only a scalp, because then you have your next supply here at 20,160. If you get above 20,160, then you're going to start pushing into the 20,270, which is that daily 20 SMA right here. So you are still below that daily 20, which I believe will keep sort of a relative weight on the top of this market. It is not until we reclaim, in my opinion, that 20 where you can really start trusting that this is going to continue higher. So just understand that you're still below that 20,270. You're still below that daily 20 SMA. And anything under that could play out as rejections, right? We could see this market fail at any point underneath that daily 20 still. So if you're going to long here, right, and if you see a trade today that you like long, I would make sure you stay in that scalp mentality, right, because there are still very clear supply levels above. QQQ. Pretty much the same analysis here. You can very clearly see 483 on the QQQ. Take a look at this, right? 483, 483, and yesterday, 483 again. So the QQQ, you can see, is having a very tough time getting over $483 per share. Again, here in the pre-market, failing it again. So I would very clearly not long today until we got above that. It's abundantly clear. All you have to do is set up your if-then statement. If QQQ is above 483, then I am potentially interested in some longs, right? If the QQQ is below 483, then I am not going to try to long into that level. I think it's very clear there. No reason to long into yesterday's highs. No reason to long into these previous lows and this rejection point. I would not be long into 483 on the QQQ. If you can get above it and you start to see it hold above today, then that is all the reason to look for a short-term scalp to the upside, right, into 486, 486, 487. Again, only a scalp, right? It's a 3-point scalp. That's really all you're looking for there into 486, 487. And the reason why 486 and 487 are so important is because right here, right? 486, 487 is really that major spot that I think we need to get above to feel confident in upside continuation. We can clearly see that was a major rejection here. That was your major support hold here. And that was your major flip back below here. All right, so this 486, 487 zone, as long as we're below that, I still don't love upside. Right? I think you can scalp today over 483. Right? I think you can scalp over 483. for a upside move into 486, but my eyes would be lit up. And I'll tell you this, I'll honestly tell you, my eyes would be lit up for shorts at 486. This would be where I would probably get pretty aggressive on a fade back to the downside. It's just the right move to play there, right? That's just the right trade in terms of risk reward in my eyes. Look for that pop and fade again at the daily 20, at the 486 supply, at the previous highs here, at the previous lows here, right? And I'm pretty sure this level goes back even further, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it does. Yeah, it goes even further and gets even more heavy, right? Look at this, all the way back here. Look at this, 486, 487. Look at all that heaviness that could step up in this spot, right? So look at all these clear rejections at this level. So yeah, if the NASDAQ or QQQ does fade higher towards that 486, honestly, this would be my more aggressive short. And then we know, right, if I'm wrong there, right, let's say I do end up taking a loss on that short idea, then I know we're above 46.47, we're above the daily 20 SMA, and then I could definitely look to flip my idea for upside, right? Because like I said on the NASDAQ futures, this is how I sort of structure my longer term trades, right? I think longer term a lot of the times. I don't get stuck so much in the short term. And for me, if the market's trading below a daily 20 SMA, which is sort of a short term trend indication, I'm not that much of a long trader under a daily 20 SMA. I'll be a long trader on pullbacks into the 20. As you guys know, you should know this if you come to the live stream and you pay attention to what I talk about. You guys know that I've talked about many times that pullbacks into the daily 20 are great long opportunities, right? As the daily 20 catches up to price action, that has been sort of the great longs. But something has changed here, right? There has been a flip. This is the first time in a while that the NASDAQ futures are trading below the daily 20, right? So I am not an aggressive long underneath that level. I'm an aggressive long here. I'm an aggressive long here. I'm an aggressive long here on those pullbacks to the 20, pullbacks to the 20, pullbacks to the 20. But this time around, this was not just a pullback to the 20. This was a flush below it, and now we are living below it, right? So I think there's a reason to change the mindset a little bit, at least in the short term. And there's nothing wrong with, if this market does end up just squeezing through it again and getting back above, then hey, we'll take our loss like a man. We'll take it on the, I don't want to say, I've said something like this in the past and it just came out very wrong. So take it on the face. I'm not going to say that, even though I just said it. But we'll accept it, right? We'll accept it. But I think that's the right mindset to have here, right? I think it's the right mindset. We're living under the 20. We have not seen the NASDAQ live under the 20. And let's continue to see if there are fades at these levels. I think that's the most important thing to pay attention to here. So pause. 483, 486, 47. If we're under these levels, guys, I think the fades are right? I think the fades are right. But if we do flip back above it, right, then we need to make sure we change our bias, right? We need to make sure we change our ideas. No Diddy. Oh, God. All right. S&P 500. That's good, man. All right. So take it on the chin, not the face. 15-minute chart on the S&P 500 futures. 56.15. 56.15 right here. This is it. 56.15. 56.15. 56.15. This is the level that we are watching here on the S&P 500 futures. You guys can see right here, rejections, rejections, rejections. Okay? 56.15. Very key. Now, if we stay below that level, once again, like I said on the NASDAQ, would not be an aggressive long. If we are under 56.15, I think that is all the reason to be cautious of fades and be cautious of the downside that could come in again. If we get above 56.15, if we get over that 56.15, then I believe you could flip for more upside, right? Above 56.15. If we get above that level, then I think you trade into 56.30, which is right here. 56.30 or that 56.40. That is where I think you will move higher into 56.30, 56.40. That's if, and I'll say it again, that's if you get over 56.15. That's if and only if you get over that level. Because right now, look at how clearly this level is still being a nuance. Nuance. No, nuisance. I think it's nuisance. I'm not too sure there. I'm not a vocabulary teacher. That's not why I'm here. So, 56.15, you guys can see right there. That is extremely clear. And if we're below that level, I would not be very aggressive on the long side. This is interesting that the S&P 500 is above the daily 20 here, right? You can see it's definitely battling. I wouldn't say it's over yet, but it's battling it. You can see right now on the 4-hour chart, it is absolutely battling that daily 20 SMA, right? That daily 20 SMA is definitely a battle zone. That's where it's sort of rejecting right now as we speak. If we start to really fail back below that daily 20, then I think this can fade again, right? This could just be a little retracement for more downside. It's very possible here, guys. It's very possible. So, 56.15. If we're under that level, I'm still not an aggressive long, right? We can see that very clearly here on the 5-minute chart. That is a very clear rejection. If we're under that level, we stay weak. If we get above it, we trade into 56.30. We trade into 56.40. Okay? Downside demand is very clear. You see right here, 55.70, 55.70, and yesterday, 55.70. So 55.70, 55.70, 55.70. If we see those fades come in today, I think you can definitely get another move down into 55.70. I think that is absolutely possible. 55.70 is that clear demand low. Here's your clear supply high. This is your channel for now, right in between this area. If we do see these fades come in again off 55.16, I would say that we could trade back down to that 55.70. If we get above 56.15, then we trade into 56.30. We trade into 56.40. All right? SPY. 5.55 and 5.51. All right, let's take a look at this. So on the hourly chart, it looks to me, it's like 5. It's like 5. Yeah, it's back to where our level was previously. That 5.55.55. You guys remember that? That's really the spot. So we're right back there. 5.55.55. You guys probably remember me saying that or struggling to say it many times. 555.55. That really seems to be the level, right? That's this low right here. You guys can see right there. That's these previous lows right here. That's this previous low right here. And you can see, guys, we are still failing that push, right? So we are potentially still turning previous lows, right? Previous lows that helped the market higher. We are still very possibly turning those levels into rejection spots. So we need to get above 55.55 today. That is very clear. And you can see the fade that's coming in off that as we speak. If we get above that level, then I think we can move slightly higher into 557 right here. 557, and then you have the 560 above. So the next level above 555.55 would be right here at these lows at 557. Okay? So 555.55, that's your key spot today. If you get above that, 557. And then really the level that seems to be holding strong right now in the short term is right here, right? You can see there is a reason to consider the longer term idea for upside. I definitely can see it. I got to delete this. Hold on. So let me go show you the 4-hour real quick. All right, and so on the 4-hour chart, there are some key holds that are coming in. There's no doubt, all right? There's no doubt. Right here, if we look at this 4-hour chart, we can definitely see the SPY is holding that 548, which is right here, 548, 548, 548. And then we can see this previous all-time high, and right here at 551 has also been a very clean hold level, right? So if we go out to the 15-minute chart now, let's take a look at those two levels zoomed in. Right, we can see right here, 551, previous all-time high, held beautifully yesterday. Held again here on Friday and held again on Thursday. All right, so that 551 is still a potential hold level, and this is why, again, this is really just a scalp range for now. 555.55, you can look to fade that high, but am I going to say that you should try to hold puts through this? No. All right, no. I don't think you should try to hold too aggressively into that 551 because we can see in the short term that has very clearly established itself as a hold spot. So this looks like a nice chop range, but you got to sort of change that mentality if you're trading intraday that these are scalps, right? These are scalps. This is a nice fade level, but if you're going to fade it, I wouldn't fade it too aggressively, towards that 551. If you get under 551, then you trade back to 548, right? 551, 548, both key demand levels below. To the upside, 555.55, 557. All right? I don't think there's anything wrong, guys. I don't think there's anything wrong with maybe some of you guys that are a little bit less experienced, not so confident, maybe a little bit uncomfortable on the intraday. I don't think there's anything wrong with leaving alone this range. This range is where it gets difficult, right? This is where you really need to be disciplined. You need to be profit-taking. You can't trust long-term, you can't trust continuation. And how do I know that? Well, hey, how about we just look at yesterday, all right? Let's just take a quick look at yesterday, guys. If you faded the highs yesterday, great. But if you didn't take profits, bam. If you faded the highs again yesterday, great. If you didn't take profits, bam, right? So, and let's say you long the lows yesterday. Let's say you long the lows, you got a huge move, you didn't take profits into supply highs, bam. Let's say you took that long again. Hey, maybe you're right. Maybe it's sitting up right now. But today, you could experience, once again, this drop. All right, so if you're going to be trading in here, guys, please be a profit taker. Please, right? Don't be asking for too much. If you can get some nice scalps, right, don't overstay your welcome. You can see anyone that overstayed their welcome yesterday pretty much just got sent into a blender. All right, so take it and run inside this range. If we can break one of the range, if we can break the highs, break the lows, then we look for the continuation. But until then, I say that's the right mindset to come into the day with. IWM. So a little bit of a pop yesterday on IWM, but we are definitely pushing into some retest rejection spots. No doubt about it. All right. I think it's around this 221.50, 222 area. We are absolutely running into some retest rejections. All right. And what do I mean by that? A retest rejection is when you have a low, right? Let's say this is a low. When you break below it, you come back into it, and then it fails, right? So we are potentially looking at retest, break, retest rejections. I think that's still very possible here. Look at what the Russell's doing right now. You have previous lows that you have broken below, and you are retesting. Sounds like the lawnmower's in my house. I don't know. That's crazy. So 221.50, 222 right now in the IWM, failing aggressively, guys, right here in the pre-market. That's very key. Actually, wow, very aggressively. What's going on here? That was a big move. Did we get data? We didn't have data at 8:30, did we? I don't think so. No. Just a nice little fade there. So IWM, right? We're fading pretty aggressively off that retest rejection spot. I think you got to hold above 219. Right? I think you got to hold over 219 today. If you can hold over 219, then I think you can have upside continuation. Right? If you can hold over 219, then I say you can see that upside continuation. But if you fail back under 219, you are trading right back to 216.50. Right? So 219 is your key level on IWM. Key level on IWM. 219 today. Has to hold. If you fail that, I don't like IWM continuation. Right now, 221.50, 222, clearly failing. Okay? All right. That's that. Let me get a sip of my espresso. $1,400 people. Damn. We're down. People didn't like that I wasn't here. Press the like button. Got to run an ad now. Got to run an ad. All right. Let's get into Tesla. UPS signaling recession. I mean, I think Amazon could eventually put UPS out of business, but I don't know. All right. Tesla earnings. Exciting times, huh? Exciting times. So right now, Tesla on a little bit of a breakout, right? Little breakout of this downtrend, right? We can see this sort of downtrending channel that has been formed over the last few trading days, right? We can see sort of this downtrending channel and a potential of a breakout here, but it's definitely not a It's definitely not a breakout that I would be trading. Espresso, not espresso. Don't say espresso. That's a bad thing to say. I would not be trading a breakout like this on the day of earnings. So today, Tesla, there's two very clear levels that you need to watch. Number one is 258. You can clearly see 258, 258, 258, and could still be a fade at 258. There's no doubt about it, right? We could push into 258. We could fade again and move right back to the downside. So 258 on Tesla, major level here. Major level here on Tesla. To the downside, 251 is the whole level that really needs to hold in my eyes. 251 and 246. So right here, 251 and 246 are your two pullback levels, right? 251, 246 are those two levels that I think have to hold in the short term to get Tesla on a little higher low, continuation move here. If you want to see that higher low continuation move, you cannot fail back under lows, right? So you have to hold the new lows. The new lows right now is 251 and 246. If you fail under 251 today, you're trading back to 246. And if you fail under 246, that's no bueno. That's a no bueno move right there. All right, because that's right back under these lows, which you very clearly held yesterday, right? Look at how clear 246 held yesterday on that pullback intraday. That was very clear. So that's what led to this upside, that 246 reclaim, extremely clear there. And now we've reclaimed 251. So we need to see a hold over 251, a hold over 246. You can look for those pullback longs today, but you do need to be cautious of 258 supply highs, which is the very clear supply high on Tesla. We have earnings after hours, so everything I'm saying right now could be totally invalidated, right? I have no idea what Tesla does on earnings. Could go up, could go down, no clue, not guessing. I will say I am sort of hedging my long-term position here in a way. I am holding some put options on Tesla, but I have, as you guys probably know, I have about $50,000 worth of Tesla shares. So if I'm going to hedge it with a few $1,000s in options, I really couldn't care less what the options do. I'm really just being a little cautious on this earnings with Tesla shares. So if Tesla goes straight up, obviously I'll take a loss on my Tesla put options, but I will make that back and then some with shares. So just a little bit of a hedge for me. Do not trade Tesla put options because I'm in them, because if you don't have the shares to cover it, then you're just taking a net loss. There's really no reason to be doing that. If Tesla does just sort of stay sideways and my put options do get IV crushed, then so be it. I'll accept that. So just a slight hedge for me on the Tesla. If I get a nice drop on the puts, great. I'll take some profits, and then maybe I'll use that to buy some more shares or something along those lines. So I'm in control of that situation. Make sure you understand before you take any of my recommendations there on that position. So 258, be aware of that. 258, very nice. Yeah, I'm still holding, man. What's the difference? I mean, if I'm in Tesla puts and I got 400 shares, it's like it's guys, right? It's up, Tesla's up from 240. It's up now $14. So that's $5,000 in profits on shares, and I'm down like 1,000 on options. I'll take that all day. Okay. 258, very clear. Watch that level above today. Nvidia. All right. So, guys, to be honest, this is prime time. I mean, at least for me, this is really prime time short play for me on Nvidia right now. I know Nvidia's Nvidia, and I know I am very exposed to maybe taking a loss here, but that's fine. Again, I don't care if I lose, okay? I take the shots. That's how you trade, right? It's fine to be wrong. I know it's, online it seems like you can't be wrong and you're a terrible trader. It's okay to be wrong. So sometimes you're going to take some losses. But in my analysis here, I think this is a fantastic look for short entries on Nvidia. This would be a extremely clear bounce back into that daily 20 SMA, bounce back into this very important flush point and this previous high, this previous low, this previous low, this previous low. We have faded below it, bounced back into it, and I would absolutely be looking for this fade on that 125 level on Nvidia. This is definitely something I'm watching today. I've been waiting for Nvidia to get back into that 125 level. And so this is absolutely where I'll be looking for that potential fade here. So 125, 125, you have the daily 20 SMA here. I think this is a very interesting spot for another drop on Nvidia, possibly back down into that 115. Something I will be watching. It's a very clear stop loss. If we get above 125, then that's a very clear reason to go ahead and aggressively long this stock. So I am very controlled in what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for a fade off 125. If we fade this 125, I will look for that short entry. If we get above 125, this is just a great spot for longs, right? Because that means you're back above this low, you're back above this low, and you're back over the daily 20. If you get over 125 on Nvidia, I would absolutely be looking for that long entry, okay? So both sides are in play here. It all depends on what happens at this 125 zone. And so for now, right, this looks like a pop and fade opportunity until we get above 125. So you have to decide here, right? This is how trading works. You either take your shot here because this is the right risk-reward entry and the very possible retest rejection. You abide by your strategy and you take your position, right? That's option one. Or option two is you just don't take it because you're scared to lose, right? There's only one or two options there. So I'm always going to be that person that takes my shot. I'm not afraid of that being incorrect, and I'm going to take it, and I'm going to look and abide by my strategy. So my strategy is always, right, drops of key levels and retests of them for that retest rejection, right? So that's what I'm going to look for today on Nvidia. I'm going to look for that 125 fade, and I'm going to see if I can build an entry up in this area for that retest rejection. If Nvidia gets back over, right, and it gets back over 125, then that would be an important reclaim, and then I would honestly, I'd try to flip for those longs over 125, all right? So that's a very important spot there today, guys, on Nvidia. I'd be watching it. Definitely could go both ways. Of course, we have earnings after hours, so the problem here could be that you take an Nvidia short, and then Google and Tesla earnings are really good and sort of just squeezes this thing back higher. That's something you have to understand if you expose yourself to that trade, all right? You have to understand that if you're going to expose yourself to a short today on Nvidia at 125, then you need to know that you're exposing yourself to an after-hours earnings on Tesla and Google. That could squeeze this market higher, right? That's just something you have to know, and maybe you scale down, right? You do the proper things to protect yourself in that situation, right? It's all about understanding of your risk, knowing what you're putting yourself into, not just blindly trading things. That's what's going to keep you alive. All right, AMD. So AMD is, how do I determine the size up or size down? Michelle, that's exactly what I just talked about, right? Maybe this is a trade that you size down into. Why? Why would I size down into that Nvidia trade? Well, there's a lot of question marks, right? There's Google earnings, there's Tesla earnings. There's still question marks on whether the market's pushing higher, right? So it's not that confident. I'm not going to be that confident on that trade, but I'll take a shot, right, to see if it works out. So that's, when you have some of those things that are sort of outlying risks, then maybe you scale down a little bit and protect yourself. All right, AMD, 153 is huge here. 153 is like this major 4-hour low that's trying to hold on. I mean, it's holding on by the skin of its teeth. It can barely hold on to this, and even though it's holding on, it is not getting upside continuation, right? Look at this. 157, it's holding that 153, which is great, but you really need to get over this 157. So if you can get over 157 on AMD, I think you can get that upside continuation back into maybe that 164. I think that's possible. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create an alert at 157 just to know if it's there. And then you can very clearly see the demand lows at 153. and the 200 SMA, right? 200 SMA, big. So a little bit of a range on AMD. I would wait for it to break either side, guys. That's really it. This is what I would do personally. Put an alert on both sides. Wait for one of the sides to break. What happened to ARM? News? Or just fading? A little bit of a fade on ARM. Yeah, ARM. I think ARM stays sort of weak here as long as it's under 172, guys. Now, 150 is a monster demand. Let's not forget about that demand down here, right? ARM right here, 150, monster demand, right? Look at that previous high. That has very clearly held for now. So if ARM does break under 150 at some point, guys, that's going to be ugly, okay? Just know that. Under 150 gets ugly on ARM. Now, for now, we're still above it, so that could still act as a very strong hold level, so don't, make sure you're not shorting ARM hoping for that breakdown, because 150 is definitely still a hold level. I'd be aware of that. But for now, look at what's sort of happening here. Guys, right, we are more of the same, more of this lower high, lower low formation. Still feels like it's coming in here. So as long as ARM is under 172, I'd be cautious here, right? Look, previous low into new highs, right? This is that break and retest rejection that I'm talking about across some other stocks. At least what I've had success trading in the last week and a half, right, is that retest rejection play. And so you can see right here, previous lows turned into rejections, and we sort of got back towards it and right into that daily 20, and look at the fade coming in. So for me, ARM up at this 172 is still just retest rejections, right, all day up near this 172 area. If it gets above 172, that's where you flip, right? If it gets above, that's where you flip. Guys, I think the most important thing to pay attention to here, especially on this market and just in general in the short term, because of some of that weakness short term, right? Obviously, this is short term. I think the most important thing to protect yourself here before looking to flip back to the long side is reclaims of key levels, right? There is no reason to front run the long idea until we reclaim key levels, okay? We need to reclaim 56.15, right? We need to reclaim 20,030 on the NASDAQ. We need to reclaim that 483 or possibly that 487, right? Wait for these to actually start to happen and then look for the pullback long, right? Until that happens, this could just be that stair-stepping downside move, right? That's the same thing as the upside trade, right? When this market was going higher, we held every previous low, right? We held the lows. We held the lows. Previous highs into new lows. Previous highs into new lows. Previous highs into new lows, right? We never broke below key levels, right? We never broke below them. We continue to hold above and maintain. So you need to start to see, right, the reclaim and break above previous rejection points before you try to get aggressive back to the long side. As long as the market continues to stay below previous highs, right, or stay below these previous levels, the market can continue to stay weak, right? So I think if there's one thing to be looking out there, if you are sort of interested in that, that pushback to the upside on the market, I would just very wholeheartedly recommend that you wait for like actual reclaims of levels, right, before you try to do it, because we could continue to see this fade, right? For example, on Tesla or on Nvidia, right, I'd want a reclaim of 125. Without that, don't try to long it yet, right? Wait for it to actually happen. Google earnings today, not too interested, but 183, 186. You got yourself a chop zone here, 183, 186. Amazon, I would stay very far away from Amazon. Bezos is still selling shares, and it's in the chop zone of death here. You have 186 to 180. You can very clearly see this chop zone on Amazon. So what I would do is I would create an alert above 186 or create an alert below 180, and I would not do anything, right? Did I do that right? At or below 180, right? And I would not get involved in this. If we can get above 186 or below 180, then I would look to trade it. TSM, a little bit of an upside move here on TSM, but there's a key level to be paying attention to today, and that is 172. You can see right here, 172, very clear. Get careful of that 172 rejection. And then to the downside, you got 166.66. So very clear range here as well on TSM. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to create an alert at or above 172, because I think if TSM can get above 172, then we could see that upside continuation. but we got to get above 172 there. Okay. SMCI, not much, just at a major 760 demand low. You can see right here, SMCI 4-hour chart. Look at how major this 760 low is here. 760, 760, 760, 760. Big demand low there on SMCI. Keep an eye on that. Yeah, we'll take a look at CrowdStrike. So I wanted to point out one level on CrowdStrike that you need to be watching here today, guys. 290 was our level that we were watching yesterday. It flushed under that and just went straight down under 290. The next level here is 260. 260. If you break 260, you go right down into 240. If you break 240, this is going down into the 200s. So very right. And the reason why I feel like this is a little bit of a sketchy thing is because the way this moved higher was pretty much vertical, guys. There was really no consolidation between like even further back. All right, look at this. There was really no consolidation since maybe you call it 190, 160, right? This was pretty much just straight up. So it's getting a little bit flushy in here. And that break of 290 was a break of these previous highs. Look at this, 290, 290. We had a hold there. We had consolidation. It kept it higher above 290. But that break under 290 yesterday, guys, was just a straight flush. So right now today, you got to watch 260. If we break 260, you go to 240, all right? But right now, we can see 260 is putting in its dance. There's definitely a dance going on at 260. You can see right here, 260, very clear dance going on, very clear attempt of a hold. So that is now the level to be watching. What I would do here is at or below 260, and I would also, if CrowdStrike gets back up into 290, this could be a dream re-short entry. All right, if we can get back into 290, this could be a great re-short entry to be watching. So, 260, 290. What a flush. Let's go to, we'll go to MU real quick for you. 114 on MU is the key here, Terry. Put it in reverse, Terry. 114, you can see right here. 114, 114, 114. You got to hold 114. Under 114, you move to 107. You got to hold 114 on MU. If you get a pop on MU, I would look for the fade right here. This would be my fade spot. 121. 100 SMA, previous rejection points. If you pop into 121, I would look to fade that level. If you get under 114, this gets really weak. So watch 114 on MU there. UPS real quick. Did it break that 130? Oh, man, it did. Holy. Yeah, this might just be gone by open. This might just be gone by open. It just faded that 134 heavy. This might be gone. Let's see. All right, because this is going to start to get sketchy. I would not be short into 124. I would not be short into 124. That's the problem now, right? Because look at this look at this daily chart. 124, 124, 124, 124. And you are getting, you're getting close already. So just be careful. If this opens at 124, it's going to just sort of ruin the intraday action. So you'd prefer this not to open at 124, because if it does, then you're going to probably see just sort of this hold all day. If you get under 124, maybe there's more, but I really would have liked to trade this, and it's sort of halfway gone already. So, yeah, unfortunate. All right, guys, let's get a quick peek at that NASDAQ futures. So once again, guys, I will reiterate, if you want a long today, please wait for us to get above yesterday's highs. Please wait for a real hold above it. And if you do, you can look for that upside into 20,160 on the NASDAQ futures. S&P 500, I think, needs to get over 56.15. If it does, possible into 56.30. IWM, watch that 219 retest. This could actually be a very interesting retest long. If the market does flip today, keep an eye on that 219 on IWM. That's very important there. I'll go into coin real quick because coin is at a pretty big level. And I'll just let you know that this is going to be a tough spot for coin, guys, right here. 264, it looks like. It's right around 264, 265, all in this area. Look at all these highs, guys. Please be careful messing around with all these highs. 265, 265, 265, 265, 265, 265, 265. Again, 265, you can see, is just sort of getting a little bit heavy over here. Yesterday, we opened and failed instantly off this level. Be careful under this 265. This is going to be heavy, and I would not just be slamming calls right into a daily chart quadruple 5, just like multiple rejections here, right? There's no reason to be slamming calls into a 265 quadruple top on the daily chart. If you get above it, then you look for it. The real entry on Coinbase was 235. And Piff, if you're still watching, well done. I know you caught this because you were paying attention to the levels, right? The real long was right here on the retest, right at the 100, at the 50, retest of 235, break, retest, long. This was the long. People that are making money were long here. They're not slamming calls at all-time high supplies. Not all-time high, but major daily chart supply. Okay? Make sure you watch 265. Last one I'll go to is Apple, and I got to get the hell out of here. 228, guys. Very clear, very clear fail, right? And this is what I'm talking about that you're starting to see on this market, right? Previous lows into new highs. Break and retest rejection. That needs to change, right? That needs to change. We need to see different type of momentum here to really think that this market's pushing back higher. Previous major low at 228 into a fade yesterday, right? Look how clear that is. So I don't like that, right? I don't like that for Apple. That looks weak to me. So as long as Apple's under 228, I think this stays sort of weak. Next move, I think, is probably down to this 220 demand, okay? All right, guys, that's all I got. I hope you have a fantastic trading day. A little bit light, or good on the likes. I appreciate you guys on the likes. Even with the 1,300 of us here, we got 1,000 likes. So that means that the people here right now, everyone that's here right now, you guys are the true ones because only 300 of you didn't press the like button, which is very impressive. That's a great ratio today. So, hey, I'll take the true ones. Appreciate you guys for being here. Thanks for coming back to the live stream. Let's make it a great day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace and love, my friends. Peace and love.